All right, today's topic is something called equivalent springs. In certain circumstances, we can see how using multiple springs interact. We do so by finding the equivalent spring, a hypothetical new spring that reproduces the original behavior. So this idea might be maybe we have one spring, and then we're going to attach another spring to it, and then we're going to attach that to some object, and we want to know how will this system react? Like, how much will these two things stretch? How much lower will the object descend when we let it go? And what we end up doing is we say, well, let's sort of put a black box around our springs and replace it with what's called an equivalent spring that you can't see because it's in a black box. But we want the idea being that this spring, whatever it is, will have the same effect, so that if in the first case object 1 descends this distance, then it still descends the same distance, and that the behaviors are all the same. And in certain cases, we can easily get to a result that tells us how we combine springs, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of this period. We start with something called springs in series, which is what I was just talking about, one spring attached to the end of the other spring. So consider two such springs with constants k1 and k2. One is hung from the end of the other, and then hang a mass m from the lower spring and bring it to rest, so get it back in equilibrium. Here we're going to assume the springs are essentially massless by themselves. You can analyze it otherwise, but non-massless springs are kind of awkward, and they're certainly outside the bounds of an AP1 class. All right, so when we do that, we would see that both springs will stretch some amount, probably a different amount. I'm going to call those amounts S1 and S2. And we're going to say, but then they stretch, the object descends a fixed distance, and we're going to find the equivalent spring with some constant K equivalent by imagining replacing our springs with a single spring stretching the same total amount, i.e. again that the outside observer doesn't know that we've swapped out the spring. We'll call that amount, the stretch of the equivalent spring, S equivalent. We're not being very clever here. K is for spring constants, S is for stretches. The springs themselves are massless, so it should be clear the tension in each of them is going to be the same and will equal mg. In other words, each of them will have a force of mg on its ends, and that will then stretch them each an amount, which would be their force mg over their spring constant. But here's the trick, the important bit. The total amount that they stretch, the equivalent stretch, is really just the sum of the two. And I actually did this freehand in Google Draw, but it worked pretty well. If we take, like, how much does this part of the spring, this top guy, stretch, that's S1, right? This spring has stretched by this little bit. And likewise, if we take the bottom thing and we say how far has it moved down, well, I got to move the original length here over to here, so this is where it would have started if there were no spring at all, if it were rigid, and then it stretches a little bit more. And we can see actually almost accidentally that if we move that stretch here and that stretch over here, it is in fact the total stretch of the spring. So the equivalent stretch is the stretch of one plus the stretch of the other. And then we say, well, the equivalent stretch, of course, is its force over spring constant, and same for the other two, but the forces are all the same. That's going to be the crucial bit. All right, these are all the same. And so we have mg over each of the spring constants, but that means we can factor out and cancel the mg, and we end up with the important result, which is that 1 over the equivalent spring is 1 over the first spring plus 1 over the second spring. That's a weird thing, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, so don't invest too much in it. But mathematically what comes out is that the reciprocals add. We generally say that the spring constants add inversely or add reciprocally. As an example, if K1 had been 10 newtons per meter and K2 had been 20 newtons per meter, then we'd have 1 over the equivalent is 1 over 10 plus 1 over 20. 1 over 10 newtons per meter is 0.1 meters per newton, and likewise 1 over 20 is 0.05 meters per newton. So we get that 1 over K equivalent is 0.15 meters per newton, and then I flip both sides to get the equivalent, and I get 6.67 newtons per meter. Right? And notice that the equivalent spring is softer than either original spring. That's always going to be the case in this configuration, this thing, so-called series, because we can see that each of them stretch, so the total thing stretches more than either of them. So of course, when we divide the weight by that distance, we're going to get a much smaller number. So adding springs in series makes the resulting spring softer, and that's worth knowing. I wouldn't memorize or anything, but it's worth knowing. We also have something called parallel construction. Another way to combine springs is to hang the same mass directly from both of them. So we see that over here. Instead of there being one after the other, now they're both attached to the mass. That means that they each share the weight, so that the weight is distributed among the two of them, F1 plus F2. We're going to find a spring that exerts the same force. That's what we want. Again, our black boxes, we want to replace these two springs with a new spring that has the same impact. On the other hand, to be in equilibrium, the springs have to stretch the same amount. So if one has twice the spring constant, it's gonna they're gonna adjust it so it carries a different fraction of the weight, so that they divide up appropriately. It's gonna be the spring it would carry twice the tension in it. So we say the equivalent force is, of course, K times S for each of them. So K equivalent times S equivalent is K1 S1 plus K2 S2. But again, all of these distances are the same, so I can cancel them, and I get a different and maybe nicer result, that the equivalent spring constant is just the sum of the original spring constants. When we add springs in parallel, the spring constants simply add, and that's what we usually say. They add directly. So in the other case where we had 10 newtons per meter and 20 newtons per meter, then we'd have the equivalent spring would be 30 newtons per meter. And we can see the equivalent spring is always stiffer than either of the original springs. Again, since they're both contributing, the box moves less than you would expect for either one alone. All right. These things are somewhat useful. They appear in the homework, which is one reason I want to cover them. But also because later on, if you take things with electronics, you find that resistors add like this and capacitors add similarly. So that there's this kind of idea keeps coming up in physics, and it's worth kind of seeing once here.